What's going on, everyone? Here with Innocent Auditor in the city of Herriman, doing the First Amendment audit. Herriman Police Department. Another animal service vehicle. You guys remember I was here a few months ago with in the canine unit dog Hondo, I believe it was, got shot and killed. So I came over here and walked around the memorial. Yeah, let's go this way.
Do a full circle on Main Street and come back around?
Sure, let's go. However you want to do it. I'm here to back you up.
Yep. He was 13 years old. Salt Lake City shot.
Yeah, that was the other kid, yeah. So the one you were talking about,
5 years old.
5 years old.
Autism, nonverbal.
So what happened?
So he got out of the house.
Uh-huh.
His mom was taking a shower. He stripped down to his bare underwear, his diaper.
So this is a 5-year-old?
5-year-old boy.
Uh-huh.
They're calling him the mom and dad are drug addicts and questioning their ability to raise an autistic kid.
Herriman Police was?
Yeah. They were very fucking rude to him, like horribly rude to him.
They were rude to them?
Very rude, yeah.
Go ahead. So I will post I'll try to get a link, if not the screenshots of the story he's talking about, Innocent Auditor is talking about, that little kid ran out of the house when the mom was taking a shower and couldn't find them. They called Herriman Police, and they I guess they treated the parents really rude and bad. Haven't got everything yet, but I'll put as much story as I possibly can on it. Yeah, I saw it. Looks like we got on the covers here. Thought someone was coming to this car. Guess not. sun is reflecting the screen. Can't really see it. See, this is how it should be at the police department's parking lots. Authorized personnel only, not authorized vehicle only, not authorized vehicle only or staff parking only. You got 2 cameras there. I'm guessing that's where they come in and out.
Hi.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Pretty good. So I gotta use the other door. There's City Hall.
What's your fault?
Guessing this is their little patio. Another city vehicle.
Why do they always buy white vehicles?
These are city vehicles. It's a very nice truck. Nice. And we just did a walk around the whole building. Go inside now. Alright, so
Nice building, huh?
yeah, it's really nice.
It's very, very sweet, both of those guys.
Yeah?
These guys are here.
Yeah.
Very nice. And the ladies over here are very sweet.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, they're awesome.
Here's the police department. Stop. Read information.
Herriman Police. The cops that don't like autistic people.
En español. So, I have customer service lady looking at me.
What's that?
The customer service lady was out looking. Yeah. The canine that I came to the memorial to.
You did?
Yeah.
Nice. I can get a complaint form?
Might as well get a grandma form too.
Oh, sorry, and a grandma form also.
Sorry?
And a grandma form also.
Yes.
Perfect. Love to see it.
Get her name.
What was your name?
And then should be a pen there.
Miss
You want to
Newman?
put that now or whatever works best.
Perfect. I'll take it with me. I'll bring it back.
Okay, sounds good.
Awesome.
And then with the grandma form, you can actually email it if you want. Down at the bottom, it shows the email you can send it to.
Okay.
So either way, you can bring it in or you can email it in.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
And what's your name?
Mary
Mary.
Newman.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I'm the deputy police chief.
Okay.
My name's
Oh,
Cody.
even better. How you doing? My
Yeah.
name is Jose.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
What can I do for you?
So,
Sergeant Davies, I guess, he's our patrol sergeant on duty today.
Okay. That,
So,
no, you're working a lot
we had
better.
a call, there was a post on Facebook,
Uh-huh.
about a family that had a 5-year-old boy that got loose. He was a nonverbal autistic kid.
Uh-huh.
And your department was extremely rude to the family. Extremely rude.
Really?
So I want to ask what training you guys have,
Sure.
if any, with
Sure.
neurodiversity children.
Uh-huh.
And if you could explain what process you guys go through, talking to the children and also with the parents.
Yeah.
So is there a certain class you guys take? Is there
So we do training on diversity and inclusion every year. It's been something we've done for a long time.
neurodiversity though?
I'm sorry, what?
Neurodiversity. So like
Neurodiversity.
autism,
Yeah,
Asperger's.
autism recognition,
Mhm.
and for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's part of our general training curriculum. We're certainly not mental health professionals.
100%.
We typically our role in a lot of situations is to try and put a Band-Aid on it and provide them with resources in the community or other places that they can go to for answers for whatever the issue is that they're experiencing. Our officers do go through those trainings every year. We do have officers that are like CIT trained,
Mhm.
crisis intervention training, which is specific to mental health, and it covers autism awareness and things like that in the context of the broader mental health continuum, right?
Okay.
Which is certainly something that we need to focus more on, particularly given the nature of our changing society and things that we're
Yeah.
dealing with now that maybe we're not as much of a focal point, I guess, for us in the past, and that's certainly something we need to evolve and be better at.
Okay. So
As
can
we
you
move
address
forward.
this one situation? I'm not sure. if
I'm
you
not
know,
familiar with it at
was-
all, no,
It was,
but,
I think it was on Monday,
okay,
maybe even Sunday night.
yeah,
A 5-year-old boy dressed down, just a diaper, non-verbal, gets out of the house. Dad's in Ogden, mom's home in the shower. The kid grabs the phone and he's booking it. He's going
Sure.
down the street.
sure,
Officer gets a hold of the kid and goes ahead and berates the mom for asking her if she's on drugs,
Yeah.
asking her how they were and how they should
Yeah.
take better care of them.
yeah,
And it's really concerning because obviously what happened in Salt Lake, and
For
also
sure.
my daughter is autistic also.
sure,
So one of the big concerns was, what if he was 13, but he was 14 years old, and he was acting, aggressively like an autistic
Yeah.
kid might have?
yeah,
What do you have to say about that, about the
yeah,
situation?
yeah, sorry, I hate these masks.
I know.
They're
That's
so
why I'm not
bad.
wearing my glasses.
Hard to
It
like
fogs them.
communicate, yeah.
Phone was with mine.
Yeah, that's certainly not something that we would expect from our officers, and we do try to hold our people to a higher standard and recognize that everybody that we deal with is an individual,
Yeah.
right? And it may be the 100th call that we go on that day of a juvenile problem, but for that parent and for that person, that's literally the most important thing that's happening in their lives right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the perspective that we try to put things in to get our people to treat people like individuals and humans. And certainly we're not perfect. We make mistakes, and our officers are not perfect, and we do try to hold them to a higher standard and hold them accountable where they may have misstepped. That's certainly to berate a parent for the actions of a child
It was pretty brutal.
is probably not
he opened up-
appropriate.
He opened up really big, and I couldn't get the name of the officer. I was really hoping he would respond to my
Yeah.
message, but
Yeah,
he came down. Are you aware of what your rating is on Google reviews?
I have no idea.
It's
I
pretty
don't-
low.
Is
Do
it?
you guys not look at these and see what the citizens
Not
are saying?
specifically through Google reviews. So our media services department's handled by the city, so they handle like our Facebook and Twitter and all our social media stuff, and they are kind of paying attention to that world. We don't delve into it a ton, we do a little bit.
So
Google review is not something I've personally dealt with, but it's probably something, it seems like something we ought to take a look at. And
yeah, it's a big thing, because a lot of information's coming out through there, and there's a bunch of posts of saying they're money hungry, they're trying to pull people over, revenue gaining, and
the reason why a lot of people do Google was the number one reason is because a lot of the comments don't get deleted on Google whatsoever. They all stay there. Once the comment is sent, it stays there. It doesn't get deleted.
Yeah.
When they post it like on your Facebook, on your Twitter, and everything, sometimes the police department and everything will delete the messages, will delete the videos, or will delete anything just so it doesn't reflect against the police department. And Google doesn't. Google, as soon as it goes in there, it stays there. There's no one can delete it whatsoever. Not Google, not no one, not myself. Say if I post something on it, it's gone, it's there,
for sure.
and I believe I can't delete it anymore.
For sure.
So that's why a lot of people go through Google.
That's a good, that makes sense. I mean, that makes total sense. And I know, so from the limited social media stuff that I do, we don't delete comments or like stuff that's specific to us, unless somebody's going in there like dropping F-bombs and all kinds of cursing and causing problems. Like we try not to, because one of our core values in the police department is transparency, right? So we want to be open and honest with the public. If we're sidestepping or misstepping or doing things that they expect us to do differently, we want to hear about it.
Right. Yeah.
And so we're very upfront with our community out here in Herriman and try to make sure that they understand that we're all in this together, right? It's our job to provide a safe community, but it's also your job to keep us in check and make sure we're doing the things the way that we are supposed to do them, and the way that our community expects to be policed, right?
Right.
Obviously, the function that we fulfill is necessary in government, but we also want to make sure that we're taking care of our community and recognizing that we're all on the same page. The whole goal of this entire venture is to create a better future for our children to grow up in, right? And so that's kind of the perspective that we try to keep it in. So that's an interesting point, and we'll definitely take a look at our Google review. I mean, because there are both sides, two sides to every story, right? And we get a lot of comments, especially with the things that are going on nationwide. We haven't had as much of an issue with stuff like that out here. Our community is generally pretty supportive. I can't really go a day or so without somebody from the community reaching out and expressing support. So there's that side of it too, but when these issues come up, we definitely want to be made aware of them, so that if there's a training issue, or if there's an application of policy issue, or if there's an issue with a specific officer, that we can do early intervention, and we can make sure that we correct those issues before they become big problems, right? Before you get to the situation like some other police departments are dealing with in the country.
Like you don't want to deal with someone that is, it's sick, disabled, and then end up shooting them for something, like Salt Lake City did.
And I can't nor will I speak to the actions of any officer in any other department, whatever the circumstances were that resulted in that, that's for them to defend and decide and discuss with you. I can only say for us, that's not, obviously no officer goes into an encounter expecting to have to use deadly force on somebody, right? And it's obviously the absolute last priority, or the last thing that we want to do, but we also need to be better about what we're doing ahead of time to get upstream of the problem and fix some of these issues before they become a police intervention. Like as we talk about putting money into mental health and like crisis programs and stuff, like we're all for that, right? Like I said before, we're not mental health professionals. If there are ways that we can help our state government and our local governments infuse some more money and some more resources into these mental health programs to give people resources and options before they feel like they have to call the police, that's where we want to be. That's where we should focus our time and energy, right? Right. And to getting people the resources and the help that they need before it gets to the point where they feel they have to call 911 as a last resort because they have no other options, right? And it's tough, and every situation is different, but we certainly expect our officers to treat people with respect, to treat people with dignity, to recognize that every situation they go into is the worst possible scenario for that particular family or that particular person on that particular day, and to treat people as people and help them work through the problems to get to an amicable solution, right? That's our whole function as guardians of the public. So.
See, that's the reason why there is some officers, a lot of your officers out there, they do a good job, because I've seen it. I've been around, I've seen them, I record a few of them. And this is the reason why, because they got good leadership like you, you know, and a lot of departments do need people like you that understands, that treats people right and expect their officer to treat the people right.
Yeah.
There's some police departments that have chiefs that don't care whatsoever.
See, and that's fundamentally flawed, and it's wrong. And our chief is a great guy. He's fantastic, and our city manager, we're very specific. When we've only been around for a couple of years. We just started in 2018.
Yeah, because you guys were unified, yeah.
And so from the very beginning, we were very passionate about making sure that we're going to create a culture where our officers are bought into the community, and the community understands that we're here to help and to be a guardian. It's not an us versus them thing. It's all of us together creating a better community for our kids to grow up in. And that's what it has to be about. And so
this is an outlier. This situation is an outlier.
I would hope so. It's certainly nothing that definitely not something that I would see regularly.
I'll show you the name of the person.
Sure.
And then maybe you can look it up and see
if
this is the post he made, but it's Mark. I can't say the last name. Yeah.
Okay.
And he goes into the whole thing about
sure.
About
what is that something that he posted publicly, or that I would be able to see, or
it's Utah Autism Awareness.
Utah Autism Awareness. Okay.
I'll show you things. Utah Autism Support. Yeah. So Utah Autism Support.
Okay.
That's the page.
I'll certainly look into it, and we'll make sure that, again, if it's a training issue or if it's an early intervention issue with one of our officers, that we address that.
It did blow up. I mean, it's pretty viral. We have a lot of autistic kids in our community.
Yeah.
And we really need to make sure our officers are trained to see that this kid, nonverbal, may attack you.
For sure.
You know, be a little off. You have to calm yourself down. And then to grade the parents, and I'm an autistic parent, and it sucks. It's hard.
Yeah, I bet.
Every single day.
I can't even imagine.
So, training would be awesome. You said you do have training. Do you know what it's called?
We do training. It's in the scope of broader mental health, though. So it's not autism specific. We have looked into a little bit of that, and we're actually working on a program right now with our dispatch center, the Valley Emergency Communication Center.
Okay.
That's where all your 911 calls go.
Yeah.
And so as we've started to look at things like senior citizens wandering off and getting lost and stuff, we've started to look at maybe there's a way to expand that specifically for autistic children. And I know that was a program that they were working on a few months ago, and it hasn't really come to fruition yet, but they're working towards I don't want to call it a registry, because that implies like the government's tracking your kids. So but it's like a hazard flag, right? Where if your address pops up, it says this person or this child or this person with this birthday who lives here is autistic. Here are their triggers. So stay away from these. Here are things that calm them down. And all that information will be readily available to the officer as they respond, so that they can be better prepared to walk into that situation.
I think that's a good idea.
So I do like my town, American Fork, we do have a center for our kids that are tagged. Like they know our kid and the kids around us.
But is that a center or a?
Yeah, it's like they opt out of this. So some cities will opt out of this program where like if the pulls up my address, it says, okay, this kid has the autism or has whatever, Down syndrome or whatever, and they're prone to run or whatever. Right. But some cities are opting out of having that program. This program is set. You can find it on the Utah Support System page also. Okay. So I was wondering if you have been opted out of that or not heard of it.
I have never heard of it, so that's certainly something we need to look into for sure. Yeah. And the reason we were focused on this program, at least in the initial stages of Herriman PD, was that it information that comes from our dispatch center goes directly to the officer in the car on their computer. So they wouldn't have to log into a separate system or have a separate organization that we're communicating with. It would just go straight up. As soon as that address pops up on the computer, it would show. We call it an address hazard flag, and we use them for a variety of situations. But this would be one that would be applicable, so that our officers have a better understanding going into a situation that this kid is not just acting out, or they're not just intentionally ignoring you. Right? There's a particular reason for that.
That's good.
So we are cognizant of it. Like I said, we do need to do a lot better in the mental health sphere, and as a culture we need to, specifically as law enforcement we need to, and there are a lot of things that we're working on to get better at recognizing those signs, at doing early intervention before it gets to the point where there's some sort of a violent encounter, because we don't want that. And certainly the parents don't want. They're calling us because they need help. Right. And it's our job to try and provide them some resources. It's just over the years, law enforcement's kind of become like the Band-Aid, like the fix-all. That's true. And so when I call 911, I expect them to come fix my problem, when really we need to start looking upstream and start thinking about where can we put some resources, some tax money, some education, some training, whatever it is, to get ahead of some of these problems and make parents feel like they don't have to call the cops as a last resort.
And I'm worried that this parent won't call you guys again when their kid's in need, and that breaks my heart.
Yeah, for sure.
And they have a canine dog that's trained to go and search and rescue. Like, it's a search and rescue dog. They paid a bunch of money on.
Yeah.
And
that's something that's not an outcome that we want either, for sure.
It was one that broke my heart. I heard it. I read it. My wife brought my attention. I'm like, I'm gonna have to go there and talk to him.
For sure. No, and I appreciate you coming. Like I said, we're not perfect, so we expect our community to hold us in check when we misstep and when we do things that they don't anticipate or they don't appreciate. So it's really important for us to be in harmony and symbiotic with our community, because if we're not and we're just doing things the way that we interpret, we have our own way of viewing things, right? From a law enforcement perspective, we view a problem in a certain way, but as a neighbor, you may view the same problem exactly the opposite.
Yes.
As a parent of an autistic child, you may view the problem in a completely separate perspective, and so in my opinion, we're obligated to each other to make sure that we understand things from each other's perspective, so that as we approach these types of issues, we provide the best possible outcome for everybody involved. And like I said, the violent encounters, well, we can't speak to what did or didn't happen, what precipitated that. I don't know anything about it other than what you've read in the news.
Yep.
But that's the worst possible outcome, right, for everybody involved.
Yeah.
And so we want to avoid that and make sure that people feel like they have places they can go, people they can call, resources they can use. We need to make sure that they understand that we're a resource to them in those types of situations, that we're not going to come make the situation worse. That should be the expectation.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Exactly.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you coming out. And what was your badge number?
It's H, like hotel or Herriman, 803.
Okay, and the name again?
Deputy Chief Cody Stromberg.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. I
You're
really
so
appreciate you.
There was 2 ways this could have gone. It could have been, for me, I was pretty heated. I want to come and give a middle finger and go mean auditor.
And that's okay. If that's what you need and you need to vent, then we're here for that too. And I'm happy to stand. I've had people that just stand and yell and scream, and that's if they're frustrated and they feel like they need to vent and they want to let their opinion be known. That's part of our responsibility too.
Well, I'm gonna post this on the page, on Autism Awareness page.
Sure. Everybody feels like that we're all in this together, right?
And one of the number one reasons that we come out to police department and do this is because to let people know how they can come in and do it. Don't need to be scared.
Sure.
They don't need to be hiding. They need to express themselves how they feel about their own department, you know. Yeah. And a lot of people don't know how to do it or just too scared to do it. And that's the reason why we love to come out to police departments and do this stuff.
No, and it's great. And like I said, we welcome it. You know, we're happy to entertain that anytime you guys want to come in and talk about an issue, or once the dumb Corona stuff is over, we'll take you on a tour through it. We're trying to mitigate the exposure to the facility right now. That's why you see all these temporary no access signs and stuff. But we're trying to be open to the public, while at the same time, with COVID, it's just it's all a mess right now, right? So the only thing I would say is social media is a little bit like people try to reach out to us when things are happening on social media, and our social media pages aren't monitored after business hours, right? So if they like send us a Facebook message on the weekend, usually we don't see it till Monday morning when our media services people get in, because they have access to it, but it's not necessarily monitored 24/7. So if there's something urgent that's happening or emergent, they can always call the dispatch center and ask to speak to the supervisor.
You can look at Orem PD. Their Facebook and Twitter is amazing. They're flawless when they have the communication to the public.
Yeah.
Look into how they do. I believe one of the sergeants has control of it all.
Yeah.
He'll post like daily shenanigans. We'll see what's going on.
Well, and we can post. We just don't get like notifications of social media messages at night on the weekends. They all come.
All right, guys. Well, I'll see you guys on the next one. As audit went good. Great deputy chief to have here. He came out. We didn't even ask for him. He didn't have to come out, and he did, which was great. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure you go check out Innocent Auditor. Love you guys. Take care, and see